So it's possible to hear this message or this path of waking up as a kind of endless self-improvement, which puts the future goal of perfection, however you imagine that to be, so far in the future that of course you'll never arrive. It's constantly about polishing this self with the idea that one day this self will be a perfect self. That one day this self will be free, will be perfectly enlightened, perfectly unconditionally loving, always at one with everything, never feeling pain or discomfort or fear, not thinking or feeling emotion. And perhaps there's a whole load of other ideas that we've picked up on the way about how this perfect self should be one day. And even when we come to this kind of non-dual satsang message, it can still, even with this message, be heard as an endless improving. Try to attain this awakening as if it's an experience for me. When I wake up, then I will feel at peace or at ease, or we have certain ideas about how I will feel or how I will behave or how other people will see me. Still, all about this sense of me, this self, that although the language may have changed, perhaps it's become more non-dual or satsang language, but it's still the same idea that one day it will be it. And of course the actual message here is that this is it already. But for thought it just seems too easy, too obvious, too simple. That it can't possibly be just this, like literally, us sitting here together, exactly how you feel sitting on this chair, whatever thoughts are here, whatever emotions, and if there are any problems or dramas going on in your lives, it can't possibly include those. Because if there's anything uncomfortable or that doesn't quite fit into your ideas about how it should be, then thought very easily excludes it and says, no, this is not included, this is not it. When I get it, then I won't have any of that. And of course there's always some of that. There's always dramas and there's always something that you could find to say that this isn't quite it. Even if it's a really small problem or drama. Thought will always fantastically find something to criticize. That's its nature. Thought will go on and on, endlessly trying to fix and improve this me, this belief in a separate me that exists in time. And in this belief in time, this me can, it seems, be improved in some way. It can be polished. if you look back after you've done some years of practice of whatever practice, spiritual practice, or if you look back after years of therapy or healing or anything like that, you can say, well, okay, actually there have been some improvements, some perhaps quite dramatic improvements, but somehow it still doesn't get to the root of it all. It seems to be endless. And before we come to the spiritual path, if we're trying to fix ourselves or improve ourselves, it's often about finding the perfect job or the perfect relationship, worldly things, having the best house, the best car. And at a certain point we get disillusioned by all of that and we come to the spiritual path. But we just do the exact same thing with the spiritual path. We imagine that one day I'll have the best experience. When I have that perfectly blissful experience, then I'll be able to relax, then I will have arrived. But whether it's the perfect car or the perfect relationship, or whether it's a perfect spiritual experience, it's all the same. It's all a dream about one day for me. And to actually see that there isn't a one day, and in fact that there isn't a me that can arrive at a one day, at some special experience for me, means it's the end of the path. Seeing that there never has been a path, really. There never has been any time. It's always present. Always this happening now. The play of time appearing in timelessness in a way that thought can never understand. It's mind-boggling. It can't understand this message, really. All it can do is imagine that it's about something I can get, something I can do, something I can become. And then it imagines what I need to do in order to get there. And then thought works very hard with all of this. Innocently, because that's all it knows to do. Thought doesn't know how not to do. Even if you tell it not to do something, it'll try really hard not to do it. Working very hard not to do. Absolute presence doesn't require any doing. It's already who you are. It's already the way it is. So, for the spiritual seeker who imagines that I'm someone who's moving on the path to a one day when I can get this special experience, it can be very disappointing to really hear this, to really wake up out of the spiritual dream, which in many ways is worse than the materialistic dream. I say it's worse because it can seem even more convincing, more meaningful for me. You can perhaps quite easily see that when you get the perfect car, that it's, it'll bring some temporary satisfaction, but it's not necessarily going to bring permanent peace. But it's a little bit more persuasive or tempting to believe that when I get this perfect spiritual experience, then that'll bring me really what I've always dreamed of. But it's not even that. And it is about feeling the disappointment of the end of the search. Not that you arrive at somewhere special for me, but that you get the joke about the whole search. wake up out of the dream of wanting anything to be any different. Seeing that it is just as it is, whether you like it or not. Liking it or not is appearing also in this. Feeling uncomfortable or not is also included. It never actually means anything about a me. Because that seems to be the sneaky thing, that thought is always referring this experience back to a me. This experience means something about me. This experience means that I've got it, or this experience means that I've lost it, that I haven't got it yet, but one day I might get it. We're interpreting the experience to mean something about me. As if there's almost like an energetic tie between the experience and a me. This gives thought a lot of work, keeps it very busy, believing in this energetic tie, in this me, that it's all happening to, that it all means so much to or about. To really acknowledge that actually this waking up path isn't really a path. It can seem disappointing, can seem even devastating. Especially when you've invested so much into it. You've made it your life's work. Such a longing for so long to be free, to wake up. So much effort, so much time spent being busy with it. To actually acknowledge that you've never left it. You've never moved 1 inch from it. Can be a great relief. But also it's the loss of this obsession. This waiting, this hoping for one day for it to happen for me. And coming back to what is ordinary, simple, easy, in fact. But so easily overlooked, because this search for a one day for me can seem so exciting. For me, that to acknowledge that there is no path, in fact, it seems almost boring for me. It may seem boring for me, or for thought, in fact, because this me is only a thought. But for that you are, really, life itself, it loves to be acknowledged in its simplicity. It longs to just be seen for what it is. That's what we all long for, to just be as we are, to be acknowledged for who we are. And no one else can acknowledge that for you.